This part of the video is for Lindsay Nikole and Lindsay Nikole only. So if you're not Lindsay Nikole, keep it moving, Buster. Okay, now that it's just me and you here, Lindsay. Hey, girl. Look what my husband got me.
Oh, yeah. I did that.
Yeah. Isn't this so? Also, this is ethically and sustainably sourced.
Facts. Also, what's his name?
I haven't named him yet. He needs a name. This was a birthday gift, and isn't it so cool? Okay, I wanted to share this specifically with you, Lindsay, because I knew that you would appreciate it. Thank you. Everybody else can come back now. How are they going to know to come back if I made them leave?
We're going to tag it in the bottom so they can just skip over it.
That makes sense.
You didn't skip that shit. I watched you not skip. Skip the goddamn part of the video next time when we tell you. Do what we tell you to do, goddamn it.
What up, Ho Biscuits? It's your girl Skitten.
It is
back
indeed.
at it again. I don't want to hear it. I know. It's been a long time.
How long has it been?
I don't.
Wait, that's right, because we went on vacation and we had birthday parties. Oh, it's been months.
Yeah.
Oh, we're bad at this.
Yes, we're terrible.
You know, this is how absentee parents feel. I forgot you existed until I came back. What did you want me to do? Live my life like you were a part of it the whole time?
Wait a second. Are we
What? Huh?
deadbeats?
I gave them a pantry full of Lunchables.
I was gonna say we can't even say like, oh, we paid child support because we didn't do that.
I got a sad comment the other day.
Mm-hmm.
One guy went, "I'll just watch your old Elden Ring videos."
Oh my god! Okay, all right. I am making a promise to you guys.
Oh no, not this! Not the broken parent promise paradox.
I promise I'll do better. Okay, we're gonna go to the park. We're gonna go to the zoo.
Oh, she's promising to pick you up at 8 o'clock. She don't even wake up till 10. Oh, Lord.
We're gonna spend the whole day, just you and I.
Oh.
Okay, just me and you.
And you're gonna get ice cream?
No outside.
You're gonna take them to get ice cream?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. So
Yeah.
what are we here for today, Skitten Wife?
So, today we have made it to the Cretaceous period.
Is it about crabs?
I don't know why I did this.
It
but
seems crabby. I'm with it.
I don't know if there's crabs during the Cretaceous
That's
period.
when scallops were invented.
Oh.
What the fuck was that?
Did you see it?
Are you okay? Run it back. There's nothing there, right? What the fuck?
There was a
Oh,
fly.
okay. Sure.
There was. Anyway, we're here to watch the Cretaceous period from the history of the world that we know of.
Yeah.
From Lindsay Nikole. This is my husband, Chavez.
The
You
one
know
and
who that is. I hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are staying safe and sanitized. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started.
Hello, how you doing?
Hi.
Have you stopped to smell the roses recently? You probably should. Roses are cool. And as you will see today, flowers, in general, are so cool. Because we have finally
Hell yeah.
arrived at the Cretaceous period, which lasted from 145
Nice.
to 66 million years ago. This is the final phase,
Pause.
No pausing.
Hold on.
You're
Give me
gonna
a
have to
second. Give
keep
me a
up.
second.
which lasted a million years ago. This is the final phase of the Mesozoic.
What do you mean?
Reuse it. It's Ucky. What are you doing?
Drawing a portrait.
We don't have time for this.
From 145 to 66 million years ago. This is the final phase of the Mesozoic era, also known as the Age of the Flowers, but more
Age of the
iconically, the Age of the Dinosaurs.
Nice.
The dinosaurs popped off. But, as I've said, throughout this entire era, the world was much more than that. More than dinosaurs. There were ammonites and turtles the size of cars.
Ammonites!
The plants were in their peak era. The fish were heinous. And the reptiles
Oh my
were
God.
evolving at high speed.
Oh my
And,
God.
to put the cherry on top, this would all come to an end in the most dramatic way possible. So,
Yeah.
without further ado, my name is Lindsay Nikole. And
Hi,
this is the
Lindsay.
history of life on Earth that we know of.
We already
Great.
Get the
talked
global
earlier.
conditions out of the way. Last time, in the Jurassic, Pangaea was breaking apart. Had Laurasia
Yeah.
in the north, Gondwana in the south. Now, these started to break apart. And by the time the Cretaceous ended, we had the current continents that we know and love today. There was this
Sick.
song in 5th grade, the Seven Continents song, and I tried to look for it for this video, but I couldn't find it. It was like all different Seven Continent songs.
Right.
The one that I'm familiar with was like, 7 continents in the world, 7 continents. And it was very like salsa, you know? But couldn't find it.
Sure.
So, just like the Jurassic, the Cretaceous was still generally warm and humid. Little to no ice at the poles, but the poles were still interesting, as you will see in a bit. Stay tuned for that. When you imagine the landscape of the Cretaceous, especially with help from shows like Prehistoric Planet, Walking with Dinosaurs, My personal favorite, Land Before Time. You probably think of it as very similar to today. Maybe a bit more lush and tropical. But with all the same characteristics that we have now. Rivers, mountains, beaches, deserts. Maybe more than a few plateaus. Trees, soil. Classic shit. But there's one thing missing from our classic landscape today that didn't appear until the Cretaceous. That we know of. It's so basic, I wouldn't be surprised if you can't even guess it, because it's just so taken for granted.
Grass.
I'll give you a hint. It's a plant. I'll give you a second to think about it.
Grass.
Grass, dude. Grass didn't exist until now. When I first learned about this a few years ago, I was shocked and decided I needed to learn everything there is to know about grass. Turns out
that's how we got
absolutely nothing about grass. So, let me give you a rundown. Grass is a type of angiosperm, flowering plant.
We know that.
Figure, which is why it hadn't shown up until now. And what makes grass a grass is the way that it grows. Most plants grow from the tips. Grass grows from the base, making it a lot easier to regrow after being mowed by your suburban father, or perhaps grazed on by an herbivorous dinosaur, a group of animals that drastically increased in size and abundance throughout the Mesozoic. Quite a solid adaptation for survivability, if you ask me. Round of applause for the plants. The oldest grass fossils date to somewhere around 100 million years ago.
There are grass fossils?
That's freaking cool.
Buy me one. I want to put it on my wall. Put it in your notes. Buy Josh a grass fossil, because I want it.
I'm not writing any more than I have to with this nasty pen.
Put down that I want a grass fossil.
Replace my pen.
Woman. We don't have any pens.
Well, that's stupid. Who has a desk without pens?
I use the internet.
Up until recently, it was thought to be half that. It was thought that the age of dinosaurs didn't see grass at all. The scientists have recently found little microscopic structures of grass, phytomorphs, in the teeth of a hadrosaur, and in coprolites, or fossilized shit, of titanosaurs.
Right.
All right.
Pile of shit.
This was likely a pretty small innovation in the Cretaceous, but eventually, this lineage would explode. Today, 20 to 40% of the land on Earth is covered in grass. Humans love grass. Wheat is grass. Rice, barley, corn, other grains, bamboo. Grass is so cool. And not the average lawn or golf course grass.
Right, bullshit
grass is objectively not cool. But other grass, hell yeah. Make sure you go touch some today. I mentioned that grass is a type of flowering plant, or angiosperm, which you might remember we first talked about last time in the Jurassic. For a long time, it was thought they first appeared sometime in the Cretaceous. But newer fossil evidence is pointing to origins in the Jurassic. And there's some molecular evidence that points to sometime even earlier than that. So, the origin of flowering plants is on some shaky ground.
Molecular evidence is wild.
But at this point, it doesn't really matter, because what we know for sure is that they were popping the fuck off in the Cretaceous. Exhibit A being grass. This was the time of the angiosperm explosion. The flowers were taking over. And other plant lineages like conifers were getting wrecked. I would imagine they would have felt bitter if plants had thoughts and feelings on an evolutionary scale. It's like
don't they see you? Didn't we prove that plants can see?
I don't know if they can see.
Oh, I'll find the video we're watching. The weird tech girl has been doing a lot of stuff on plants lately.
That's
and,
terrifying.
Plant feelings.
What a terrifying concept.
We've been torturing plants for centuries.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
A new girl in school showed up, and she was hot. Like, way hotter than the cycads and the conifers. She was evolving brightly colored flowers and fruit. Traits that made her extremely popular right away within the pollinator community.
Imagine the first bitch with fruit. Oh, that shit would go crazy.
Insects love shit that's tasty and easy to see. From a numbers point of view, angiosperms went from representing 0 to 5% of fossil plant life in the early Cretaceous to over 80% in the late Cretaceous, which is fucking insane. And of course, this takeover has been given an official name, the Angiosperm Terrestrial Revolution. Not very catchy if you ask me. I think a better name would be Flower Power Time. That's just me. Think of all the flowers you've ever seen in your entire life. It's probably not even close to all the different flowers that actually exist today. I bet if you were to go into a remote rainforest right now, you'd see flowers that make you feel like you're on a different planet. Actually, if you like to dabble in your own flower power time, or are just bored, look up weirdest flowers on Google. Flowers are nuts. And those are just what exists today. I can't even begin to imagine what some flowers must have looked like during the Cretaceous. That we'll just never know about due to the oppressive nature of the fossil record. I'm starting to get off track. The flowers are just a small aspect of the development of angiosperms. Ultimately, they have taken over the world. Angiosperms make up 95% of all land plants today. And this explosion seems to have been kick-started during the Cretaceous. But Why? Actually, I guess I already answered that question. It was the insects. I mentioned last time that pollination became a bit more popular in the plant community during the Jurassic, and that became the start of a massive snowball effect. Insects started off by pollinating gymnosperms, like cycads, the basic original pollen providers. Then they started to make the switch to angiosperms, who were easier to see and also very tasty, like I said. This pushed flowering plants to become even more easier to see, even more brightly colored, offering even tastier pollen. And they diversified to shit, becoming the Met Gala of the Cretaceous, and exploding in success for their newfound partners. And insects did too. Some became more specialized pollinators, focusing on what they found to be the most appealing flowers. Other factors affected their diversification, of course, like global temperatures, other plants entirely, but insects and flowering plants were just bouncing off each other like nobody's business. And regular gymnosperms got left in the dust. Not completely, but angiosperms were the new toy. Gymnosperms were the one that got stuck in the back of the closet. They were simply the victims of a free market economy. So insects affected angiosperms affected insects. And so, the Cretaceous saw the first appearance of probably the most iconic angiosperm pollinator of all time, the bees. You might remember I mentioned a couple episodes ago that bees and ants would eventually evolve for so long. It's just the worst word on the planet. Wasps. And not just any wasps. Parasitoid wasps. Remember the whole thing about parasitoid wasps is that the larvae eat the prey alive as part of their life cycle.
Correct.
They're just horrific and on a spectrum. A horror spectrum. Some wasps will inject the eggs right into their prey. Others will paralyze the prey, bring it back to their nest.
We've seen plenty of videos on that. And it seems as though bees evolved
from this kind. At some point, a wasp must have tried feeding its young pollen instead of a paralyzed insect. Very nutritious and cruelty-free. Pollen turned out to be a successful food source, and this eventually led to the lineage of bees. And thank God for that. The last thing we needed is more parasitoid wasps. Scientists estimate there's millions of them, not individuals, species. Millions of species of parasitoid wasps. Bad. That's bad. So, anyway. Bees evolved. And also bee colonies first appeared in the Cretaceous as well. And another colony animal that seems to have appeared in the Cretaceous, the ants, also from parasitoid wasps. They were present, but not abundant, and wouldn't be until after the asteroid impact that we know of. So, we will revisit them then. Another group that appeared, butterflies. From you guessed it, months. Shit was just getting more modern. But I was able to find one strange specimen that I think you will like.
That's a weirdo.
See if I can pronounce this. It's called Hallucinochrisa diogenesi.
Sure.
Say it.
Sure.
Say it.
Hallucinogenic mushrooms.
Close enough.
Diogenesai. Hallucinochrisa diogenesi. Just keep it there. And it's a trash-carrying larval lacewing. What the fuck does that mean? Let's start with the lacewing. Insects that still exist today. Name such with wings that look like lace. I think their wings look sick. They look like those skeletons they have out at Michael's or Spirit Halloween. Yeah. The spider one is the worst, dude. Of all the horrific creations mankind has played a part in, this is the most foul. But anyway, this is a lacewing. Pretty cool. Larva equals baby. We all know that by now. And trash carrying is exactly what it sounds like. They carry trash. To insects, trash is anything. Sand. Discarded plant material.
Oh, they just carry shit.
They use this trash to camouflage, since their entire world is littered with these materials. They also use it as a shield, i.e. defense. And on occasion, they eat the trash a little bit. Hallucinochrisa was perfectly built to carry a thick amount of trash. They had extremely long, Velcro-like appendages to tangle the trash into. And the specific fossil specimen found in 2016 in amber had all sorts of trash wrapped up in it. Not only are they cool looking, carry trash, but this is also some of the earliest evidence of trash carrying behavior in the fossil record. So, educational as well. This fossil has everything. Imagine if we carried that much trash all day. Our backs would be completely destroyed. Before I move on to the ocean, I have a little land section that I don't usually do, because I don't usually come across stuff for it, but this time I did, with fungus. I have two updates to share for you with fungus. The first one is pretty heinous, or sick, depending on how you look at it. So, let me know what you think. The Cretaceous fossil record holds the earliest evidence of a carnivorous fungus. Yes,
that's sick.
Like uses animals as a source of nutrition.
Yeah,
probably something you don't think about very often. Or maybe at all. We typically think of fungus as decomposers, not as preying on living animals. It's a little bit uncomfortable. The earliest evidence of this lifestyle comes from the Cretaceous. Scientists found it in amber that dates to about 100 million years ago. And it shows a fungus with specific fungus trapping devices trapping nematodes. These specific trapping devices are called hyphal rings. They're like sticky rings. Nematodes get stuck in them. Carnivorous fungi are thought to have evolved much earlier than this, because why wouldn't they? Molecular evidence points to over 400 million years ago, which is not surprising at all. But the second fungus thing to tell you about is a little surprising, in my opinion. The Cretaceous also holds the earliest evidence of mushrooms. Gondwana magnificus. oldest mushroom that we know of. You can kind of think of mushrooms as the fruit or flowers of certain fungus, the reproductive parts.
Love dicks.
Seems like something that would have appeared much earlier in the fossil record, probably just hasn't yet, but I digress. This mushroom was very small, about 2 inches long. I guess what else would you expect from a mushroom? An analysis using electron microscopy found that it had gills under its cap rather than pores or teeth that many other mushrooms have. And I just found out what all of those things mean in terms of mushrooms, so I'm going to tell you now too. Gill mushrooms are probably what you're imagining. The ones that have those little thin paper sheets on their cap. A good example would be oyster mushrooms, one of the best mushrooms in my opinion. I never had mushrooms growing up because my mom and my grandma are allergic, so I never had them. But then I tried them, and I like them a lot. I take these oyster mushrooms, Trader Joe's has them, and I rip them into little French fries, and then I throw them in some oil, put salt, pepper, a little bit of garlic, some butter, and I just cook them until they're really crispy, and they're just the best. They're so good.
Fucking delicious.
I highly recommend it if you're not allergic. So that's gill mushrooms. There's also pore mushrooms with, you guessed it, pores under the cap. Good example would be the reishi mushroom. And the tooth mushroom, a popular representative, is the lion's mane, found at every other farmer's market booth in LA. Lion's mane is good for you, and I have just laid out pretty much everything I know about mushrooms. So, thank you very much. Now let's move our attention to the seas, which during the Cretaceous were absolutely mollusk city for a few different reasons. In the most literal sense, if you think of ocean cities, you probably think of reefs, which today are coral reefs. Reefs constructed of coral. In the Cretaceous, many reefs were constructed of mollusks. I know, pretty unusual when you break it down. So, you know mollusks, huge group. Includes snails, slugs, cephalopods, and also bivalves, like clams, oysters, mushrooms,
how come those didn't survive?
Nope, not mushrooms. Mussels. Got mushrooms on the mind now. Want some oyster mushrooms, clams, oysters, mussels, etc. Bivalves have a very simple body plan. Two of those shells, or valves, connected by a ligament. Bivalves. Usually symmetrical, folded up nice and neat. But a new bivalve was stepping on the scene. The rudest bivalves. Asymmetrical and very diverse. They generally had one valve attached to the ground, or substrate, and the other one up in the water. And they also had some pretty weird designs, like coils or cone-shaped valves.
They were going in.
Bullhorns. And to properly brace this body form, they liked to cluster together for extra support. This created a chain reaction. They could cluster the fuck up. And soon, these formed massive rudest reefs. Knocked the corals out of dominance for a bit, and looked cool as fuck. Looked like colosseums galore. This was the Roman Empire of the Cretaceous. Another point for Cretaceous mollusks were the soft-bodied cephalopods. What do you know? I left something out of the Jurassic. Octopuses seem to have evolved in the Jurassic. The earliest representative is Monsterella scutularis, a type of vampiropod, the group that vampire squids belong to today. And then octopuses evolved from there. At least that's my understanding of it. Let me give you a little visual diagram. Let me get my whiteboard. I think this is going to come in handy in a second. Okay. So, we have the coleoids. This whole thing is the coleoids. At the top we have squids. On this side. The other side, we have the vampiropods.
Okay, draw that. Squids.
Coleoids.
Vampire squids. Coleoids. Octopuses. Squid. V-squids. Octopi.
Octopodes.
Good job.
It's important to know the split between squids and then octopuses and vampire squids. Vampire squids sound like they would be squids, but they weren't. They're more closely related to octopuses, as you can see. And so,
I see that.
In the Cretaceous, we start to see some of these shellless cephalopods get massive, like Ancoteuthis. They were very big, but their size and general appearance over the years has been questionable. So, let me break it down. Obviously, soft-bodied cephalopods have soft bodies. The only thing that really fossilizes most of the time is their hard part, the pen, and that's on rare occasion. Today, vampire squids and squids have pens, and they look different. So if you have a fossil pen, you can kind of compare them between the two groups.
I see.
Where it fits best. Early on, Ancoteuthis pens were compared to that of giant squid, because they were massive, like the pens of giant squid. So it was thought that the prehistoric Ancoteuthis looked like the giant squid, and were also the same size, like 36 feet long, and a lot of that length coming from the tentacles. But then the pen was compared to that of vampire squids, more closely related to octopuses. While the size was more similar to a giant squid because they were both big, the overall shape was more similar to a vampire squid. So now the general idea is maybe this was a giant vampire squid relative, which meant that their tentacles were likely not as long. So overall, they were probably like big. 10 to 16 feet long. That's where the consensus is today. That might change. So that's all for that. Another point for the mollusks are the ones you probably first think of when you think of Cretaceous mollusks. If you do think of Cretaceous mollusks, the ammonites. Last time I mentioned that they get very big in the Cretaceous, so let's just get that one out of the way. Allow me to introduce you to Parapuzosea, one of the largest ammonites to ever exist. that we know of.
ridiculous.
One of the coolest things about these massive
That's
ammonites
ridiculous.
is that, unlike their soft-bodied brethren like
That's a
Anchortoothus,
Pokemon size.
we are
Literally.
good on their size estimates. We've got that shit figured out. Their shells are solid. You cannot question
Wow.
the fossil evidence. This is a big-ass ammonite. And if anything, they can only get more heinous. Maybe we're somehow underestimating the size of their tentacles.
I was.
Maybe their tentacles are 50 feet long. There's no way at this time to prove that they weren't. But
Yeah.
based on the shape of other ammonites and their other similarly shaped
That's
living
horrific.
relatives, it's safe to say their shell tells the tale. And the shell is about 8.5 feet long.
How
So,
did they
because their shells
move?
alone are so heavy, they're assumed to not only be the largest ammonites, but also the heaviest invertebrate to ever exist.
Yeah.
We know of. You probably won't be surprised to find
I
out
was
that
wondering
these
how they
tanks are not
moved.
my favorite ammonites of the time. No, that title usually goes to some unusual little guys. This
Everyone
time,
thinks it's a
falls
tiny
to
one?
heteromorph ammonites, named
Nice.
such because their shells go shit fucking all over the place. They
What?
are chaotic, and there are so many of them. They look like the product of an
that's
acid
awesome.
trip in Treasure Planet, the best Disney movie, by the way, and also video game.
It is
And
a
they
good
seem
one.
like they don't make sense. Like
doesn't
evolution
make
could not have
sense.
possibly allowed this. But it did. And scientists have
early
started
evolution.
to figure out how. I read this paper focusing on one specific group called Nipponites. Or
Huh, she can
Nipponites.
read.
Nipponites.
I'm just going to say Nipponites. Absolutely sick looking. All coiled up in different directions and
what
really just
the
looks like a piece
fuck
of thick
is
knot.
that?
And sidebar, I don't understand why people use big words just to use big words. Why are you making it harder for everyone? There is no reason to ever use the word deleterious, in my opinion. Just say harmful or damaging, like the definition says. I read
I
shit
like
like
the
that
word
and I feel like a
damaging.
fucking
I mean,
caveman.
You are preaching to the incorrect choir here, lady. Now, to be fair, we do choose user-friendly words on the interweb, but that's because I can't clarify after the video goes out, and I don't feel like doing it at a later time.
Now, she does have a point insofar as jargon does serve as like a gatekeeping mechanism
But
to
that's
keep
not
the lay person
Yeah, but
from
speed is
Yeah.
a gatekeeping mechanism for sports. But we didn't do that on purpose.
right.
It's a skill issue.
Yeah.
It's not. There are a lot of people that will never even have access to vocabulary that's used in,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
journals and academic journals.
Yeah.
And they're aware of that. They just do it anyways. They're being dicks about it.
That is all to say. I hope I'm understanding this paper properly. It seems as though this strange shape of Nipponites and other heteromorph ammonites comes from the body and the shell growing in different ways, like different rates, directions, etc. But they still
What?
technically grow symmetrically. Just shit gets all mixed up at different stages of growth in their life. So
Right.
if you look at
Right.
figure 5, they start off growing pretty normal in one plane and then get all folded up, grow on a different plane, folded up, grow on a different plane, etc., until they look like mush. But somehow it worked for them. They likely
That's a
lived
worm.
low energy in the water column, slowly drifting around, facing upwards or horizontally, spinning around to feed on plankton.
Spinning
So,
around.
heteromorph ammonites are cool. I suggest looking more into them. Check out
That's cool.
Diplomaceras. They were like a 5-foot-long paperclip. Check out other
Right.
ones and tell me which one is your favorite. Let me know if you like them. The last major event to cover in the no-bone zone was the Cretaceous crab revolution.
There
Yes.
are crabs.
You were right. You were right.
We have crabs.
Fucking crabs.
So octopuses came in the Jurassic, which is fine because the Cretaceous period has crustaceans in it.
Yeah.
Cretaceous crustaceans.
Yeah.
The time when the peak body form rose to dominance. The true crabs, in the group Brachyura, technically first appeared
Everything
in the
becomes
Jurassic,
crab.
with the false crabs, the Animurans, following their lead not far behind. Carcinization got going quick. I recommend watching my video on it to learn more. It is my most popular video. But for now, just know that
Is
crabs
it
really spread their
really?
wings in the Cretaceous. And
How
now,
things
it is
have
Crab
changed.
City, along with Mollusk City. And it is also Heinous Fish City. I have lots of fish to show you today. So,
I wanna see
let's
the
get
heinous
into it.
fish.
Stratodus, a long, eel-like fish. Up to 16 feet long. I am only getting started.
16
Bananogmeus, a fish with a sick name, until it was renamed
Bananogmeus.
in 2001 to Pentanogmeus.
Why?
Which I like a lot less. Turns out
Right.
Bananogmeus was Pentanogmeus the whole time. That we know of. Still pretty cool. Next, Protospirena, a big-ass swordfish-like fish. But
Nice.
not a true swordfish. They got to about 10 feet long and were built for predatory speed. And likely use their sword in a similar fashion
Look
as
at his
today's
teeth.
swordfishes. Slashing at their prey, slicing it, stunning it, until it is suitable to be eaten. Next, another big-ass fish with a mouth like nobody's business. Rhynchthenichthyes. I'm not doing that joke.
A few moments later.
Do it.
Rhynchthenichthyes nuts. I was so high when I wrote that.
Ah! I liked it. It was funny.
I didn't know what the joke. I thought it was gonna be like a throat goat joke.
Yeah.
That's what I thought it was gonna be.
Mhm.
I should have known. I should have suspected.
a parachute mouth fish that ate, you guessed it, plankton. They walked so the gulper eel could run. Next, and probably the most heinous and well-known Cretaceous fish of them all, Zephyctinus, also known as the X-fish. They were up to 20 feet long and had massive needle-like teeth, seemingly perfect for piercing flesh. But oddly enough,
could you imagine the fucking legends written about this beast?
Seemingly
20 feet of horror? 20 feet of death?
That's insane.
That shit is terrifying. Nah, fuck that.
Perfect for piercing flesh. But oddly enough, some fossil specimens of Zephyctinus show evidence of the opposite of piercing and ripping flesh. Yes, multiple fossil specimens of this fish have a fossil of a smaller, but still large fish that they have swallowed whole, which scientists interpret as the cause of their death. From the smaller fish, realistically, being too fucking big to swallow whole, slashing around in there and damaging shit.
And he doesn't give a fuck. He just ate it anyways.
One of these said swallowed fish. Why would you try to swallow this fish whole? And for this reason, Zephyctinus, also known as the X-fish, is also known as the gluttonous fish. There's only one thing scarier than
That's a good call, babe. You caught him greedy.
Greedy ass!
Yeah, you got
fish. And that is a heavily armed fish who doesn't give a fuck, and is also probably stupid. Alright.
So my husband accuses me of not chewing my food.
She doesn't, but go ahead. That's fine.
I obviously chew my food.
And by obvious, you mean what? I met a guy that said he hates eating rice because it doesn't taste like anything, and he admitted he just swallows it. Scoops and swallows.
That's
Scoop,
insane
swallow.
people behavior.
It is actually. I wanted to share it here. I thought it was appropriate.
Thank you.
How do you even eat so much rice? I mean, it just gets so hard to eat.
Yeah, it would just turn into anyway.
Yep.
My husband says that I don't chew my food.
Enough.
And I just feel like me and, what's this nigga's name?
The X-fish.
The X-fish. Me and the X-fish, we are being severely maligned. Okay? We do our best. He also gets mad at me for not reheating my food, so.
Cold, wholly swallowed food. Like you are an eel of some sort.
It's not cold. It's room temperature.
Even lions eat their shit out in the heat.
Room temperature is not cold unless you keep your house at an ungodly temperature, like 70.
To be fair, if you kept my house at 70 degrees, we would physically fight. That's cold as hell.
Moving on to some sharks. The first one I like a lot, the eagle shark.
I'm so sorry that I keep yelling. I will do my best to temper my responses.
The eagle shark. Discovered recently in 2021. I remember making a TikTok about them when they were first announced because I thought they were so cool. They had bizarre wing-like fins.
That's really
making
goofy.
them kind of look like a weird shark brain mix. But they were in fact totally a shark. They were about 5.5 feet long with a fin span of about 6 feet. Their lack of teeth on the fossils suggests they were slow-moving gliders that ate
as tall as Dr.
very
D.
serene, very serendipitous. I don't understand why people use big words just to...
Serendipitous is not a... That's not a big word.
It is a big word. If she's talking about deleterious, then she uses serendipitous.
It's the same category. Those don't count.
The next one is not that. Tychotis. You might like what they got going on, but I do not. I specifically hate their mouth. Actually, specifically their teeth. They were described by The Guardian as pavement-like teeth, which is just horrific. There's no need to make things worse. They're
just
maybe more like smooth pebbles on a lake shore, which, yes,
that is
nice,
horrible.
but to me has no place in a shark's mouth. Like many prehistoric sharks, for a long time, the remains of Tychotis were just teeth. All teeth. Nothing else. Until just this year in 2024, when some exceptionally preserved fossils in Mexico were determined to belong to Tychotis. Teeth and body displayed as one. As you can see in this photo. If you zoom in a little closer, you will see something out of a nightmare. Once again, the mouth. Here, it looks like that fake toddler skull that gets reposted every 2 days. But this time, it's real, and it is profane. This mouth was...
I didn't know it was fake, because every time it comes on the screen, I yell. But it's fake, so no need to worry.
It's obviously fake.
Baby death does not involve multiple rows of teeth.
Nonetheless, perfectly adapted to chewing on shelled creatures. And the new fossils suggest that, rather than going for bottom-dwelling bivalves and crustaceans, they were more fast-swimming. So probably went for creatures in the water column, like sea turtles and
Imagine?
ammonites. Okay, now, moving on to amphibians. I'm gonna be honest with you. This section is gonna feel very short. Because it is. I only have one amphibian in this section to tell you about. But technically I have 2 amphibians total. Telling you about that one later in another bonus section that I haven't done before, that I thought would be cool, and I'm gonna keep it a surprise until then. So, let me tell you about this first amphibian.
Look at the big frog!
Also known as the devil.
Look at it.
So,
look at the big frog. It's just a gigantic face.
I like it.
I know.
Let me tell you about this first amphibian.
Give me one of those.
Beelzebufo, also known as the devil frog, or the frog from hell.
Beelzebub,
Quite
the
extreme,
demon.
I know. It was initially thought to be about 20 inches long, twice the size of the largest frogs alive today, and making it the largest frog to ever exist. That we know. That turned out to be an overestimation. They're now thought to have been about 9 inches long, so about the same size as today's Goliath
regular
frog. Nothing
frog,
crazy.
yeah.
But they seem to have been capable of eating baby crocodiles and dinosaurs, which is still
They do
pretty
that.
badass. A frog eating a dinosaur. That is objectively cool. The seemingly largest frog that we know of will be coming in the next episode, as long as nothing changes until then. So that's amphibians for now. Now let's see what's going on with the underdogs of the period. The mammals. Remember last time we kind of went through the whole family tree?
That were all
Monotremes,
fucking rats.
marsupials, placental mammals, some other groups that went extinct like the multituberculates, the docodonts, etc. So I figured I'd just give you some updates on the groups that are still around today, because it's really just the same shit as last time. Everything looks like a rat at the end of the day. So,
imagine the people who call us monkeys learning that we're all actually rats. They were gonna lose their mind. They're gonna actually not get that far in the conversation. But that's hilarious.
Under my mammals notes, I'm writing everything is rats.
We're rats!
let's start with the monotremes, represented today by the platypus and the echidnas. That's it. The mammals that lay eggs. Here's one from the Cretaceous, Tynalophus, the oldest and smallest monotreme that we know of. This is just so violently monotreme, you know? I feel like I have to bring them a jewel to unlock a quest. Let me pull them up. Yeah. I like what's going on here.
That's just
you know what?
platypus.
They look like they should be a Webkins. Like that weird duck they had. It's called Googles. I guess it was kind of more of a goose. But it looks like it was designed based off of a platypus. It was a platypus this whole time. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess that's why I said that. Anyway, back to Tynalophus.
that was so great. Learning in real time is fun.
They look like the perfect mix between a platypus and an echidna. A platypechidna makes sense to me. They were small, weighed about 40 grams, or about an ounce and a half. They also likely had an electrosensitive or mechanosensitive beak to help locate and eat insects. And
that's how I find food in the dark.
Jesus.
I just yell at it. Ah!
To put that into perspective,
Ah!
please, no.
I found a snack. Let me kiss you. Delicious.
To put the 1.5 ounces into perspective, that is half of the amount of liquid you are allowed to bring in a carry-on on an airplane.
Good reference. That's very good.
It's very little.
Yeah, we've been traveling.
And I think that's pretty cool. Next, the marsupials. One of the earliest marsupials that we know of is called Delta theridium, which sounds like an experimental drug. They just look like another rat.
Facts.
So let's move on to a bigger one. Didelphinon. Looked more like an otter than a rat.
That's a bad
and might have been semi-aquatic. They were the largest Cretaceous marsupial that we know of, and seem to have had the largest life force relative to body size of any mammal ever, which is cool. This, along with other skull features, has led scientists to think they ate hard things, like maybe shelled creatures, or turtles, or crabs.
Or my
potentially
mixtape.
bones. Totally and completely badass. Oh, bones. Alright, moving on to the placental mammals. Our own grandmothers, grandfathers. Once again, a lot of rats.
You give a man a rat, you satisfy his rat desire.
So I'm just going to show you some...
I just love that clip so much.
I haven't seen that in so long.
The biggest. 125 million years ago, a cat-sized mammal was sinking its teeth into the ribs of a dog-sized dinosaur when the two suddenly became engulfed in a volcanic mudflow, cementing their position in rock for eternity.
Imagine
The kind of hatred it takes. The volcano's coming, let me go. We will die here. Get her off her, Fred. Hey man, they're engulfed. They either love each other or hate each other, bro.
That's great.
Let them eat it out.
Amazing.
This is what they tell you, like, you know, that spite will do to you. This is the kind of death that spite gets you.
It's the end of the world, and I still hate you enough to kill you myself.
We will do this together. I've been waiting my whole life for this revenge. I will not be denied. It'll be encased for eternity.
I support this.
They will write of my vengeance of you. Somebody write me a fan fiction to this. I want to see it.
Mammal was Rapinomamus, arguably the most famous mammal from the Cretaceous. They were about 10 pounds and kind of looked like a small badger, and they were attacking Psittacosaurus, a dinosaur 3 times its size that we'll talk about in a bit. Rapinomamus is a clear example of the Cretaceous being more complex than you initially think it is.
Badger.
Yes, the mammals can generally be thought of as the underdogs, but nature never gives shit to you straight. Rapinomamus was badass. One fossil specimen in 2005 was found with its last meal preserved in its stomach, which was baby dinosaurs. They were a big mammal for the time, with a big appetite. For a long time, they were thought to be the largest Cretaceous mammals, until just this year, in 2024. A new largest mammal has been described from Argentina.
Okay.
1 point for Gina. Called Patagomai, a bobcat-sized mammal that would have been around 30 pounds. Clearly, this is brand new, so all I have written down for this section is that they existed. More research must be done. Okay, so that was the mammals. The synapsids. Now let's move on to the stars of the show, the sauropsids. Let's start off with the snakes. Last we left off, there were some skull modifications going on, happened from lizard to snake in the Jurassic, and the limbs were getting smaller. I mentioned when it came to losing limbs, the front limbs were first, then the hind limbs, rather than all at once. And that's exactly what we see in snakes throughout the Cretaceous. By about 130 million years ago, it seems as though snakes had lost their front legs, with evidence like Pachyrhacus, a marine snake alive during this time in what is now the West Bay. They had teeny, tiny little hind limbs, and their name means thick spine, because they had thickened vertebrae and rib bones, adaptations that are associated with increased buoyancy in the water, which is what led scientists to believe that they spent their life in the water. And Najash, alive much later, about 95 million years ago, still just rocking the 2 hind limbs. They were first discovered in Argentina, once again, in 2006 with very fragmented remains. But in 2019, scientists hit the fucking jackpot and found 8 new skulls of Najash, including specimens that were nearly perfectly preserved 3-dimensionally. Scientists were able to take CT scans, gain new insight on how the skulls specifically shifted through the transition from lizard to snake. Then at some point around 70 million years ago, before the hind limbs were fully lost, there was a big split in the lineage between boas and pythons and other snakes. And now, boas and pythons are still born with remnants of hind legs. Very small, so inside their body, but still there, which is pretty cool. Let's move on to the crocodilians. I haven't given a specific update on them in a minute. They were diversifying to shit. There were so many different crocodilian forms in the Cretaceous. So much so that some of them have been informally classified with names of other animals that they kind of have features of. I don't know if that makes sense, so I'll just keep going, and you'll get it once I start listing them off.
Please do.
First off, Anatosuchus, the duck croc, a crocodilian with a duck-like snout.
Why do you look like that?
Sides and form. They're about 3 feet long and are assumed to have perused the water to see fish, frogs, and other aquatic creatures, using sensory areas on their snout to find meals. Next, Araripasuchus ratoides.
Rat?
Ratoides.
Yes, the rat croc. Their teeth are reminiscent of rats and other rodents. They probably ate plants and grubs, and used their rat teeth to dig them out of the ground. Next, Caprasuchus, also known as the boar croc. They have features reminiscent of wild boars. They had 3 sets of fangs, and kind of looked like the boar tusks. They're about 20 feet long and seem to have been semi-aquatic, and had a snout suitable for ramming into things, perhaps competitors, or prey, or other things that need to be rammed. Next, Laganosuchus, the pancake croc. Also 20 feet long, but this time with...
Oh, say something. Say something on like 20 motherfucking feet long. Say something about the pancake, bitch. Say something. You got jokes now, 20 motherfucking feet? Why?
Very flat head. Reminiscent of a pancake. Slender jaws with small, pointed teeth lining the insides of them. Massive mouth. Outrageous even. Feel like they'd have a hard time swinging it around. And that seems to be the consensus. Scientists think they were like the crocodilian version of a carnivorous plant, laying motionless, mouth agape, for hours, until prey stepped in. And then snap, like a bear trap. I know it would kind of be my default to like the rat one the best, but I think this one is my favorite. And I do like pancakes, so I guess that checks out. The rest on the list don't have such descriptive labeling. They have more normal shit going on. They are arguably even cooler. So, first off, in 2020, scientists discovered some well-preserved crocodilian trackways in South Korea. And not just a couple, but a lot of them. After measuring the length between each footprint, analyzing size, shape, etc., they realized they had trackways of a crocodilian that was 10 to 13 feet long and bipedal. Yeah.
What?
A croc that walked on 2 legs. They had footprints everywhere. Footprints galore.
So a whole gang of upright walking crocs?
That sounds like Skyrim.
Imagine a croc with crocs.
I'm rocking crocs.
Just walking a croc, rocking crocs, walking around with crocs on. That'll knock your socks off. That's awesome.
I have to make note of the bipedal crocodile.
Yeah, so that means all this fantasy shit is kind of accurate.
Right.
Damn.
Toe pads and toe scales preserved, and not a single handprint. They've assigned this mystery croc Particapants, where now the reconstructions look like this. And that's all for now. Next, the most objectively cute croc on the list, the Cretaceous. Very small and likely ate plants. They had teeth set up to eat plants, jaw muscles, and orientations more suitable for plants, and I like that they had a very short snout. They're absolutely darling if you ask me. Alright, that was a palate cleanser. Just so you know. Because the last two crocs on this list are just horrific. And they happen to be the two largest crocs of the Cretaceous that we know of. So, starting off with Sarcosuchus imperator, a very strong and dominant name. And for good reason. They're about 30 feet long with an extremely long snout. And likely fed on a variety of creatures like fish, turtles, and dinosaurs. And they likely ate them whole. And the next one, Dinosuchus, the terror crocodile. Another strong and dominant name. They're estimated to have gotten somewhere between 33 and 40 feet long. And up to 10,000 pounds. You might have heard of the classic crocodilian move they use to attack their prey. The death roll. They rapidly roll like that to dismember their prey. Dinosuchus seems like they were capable of performing a death roll, which is just heinous to think about. Would have just ripped you right in half. Fossils of Dinosuchus have been found all over North America, and on both sides of what would have been the western interior seaway throughout the Cretaceous.
It was found it just was. It wasn't where, it was
I want to ride it.
Get on top of it, put like a little thing on it.
Put a saddle on it, yeah.
And then it spins you. Skitten, put on your helmet.
I would have to tame it. And then make it into my
feed it little
pet.
Toddlers until it obeys your every will.
I'm not going to feed it people.
Throw it little babies.
I wouldn't feed it people.
Feed it rats.
Yeah.
Everything is rat.
Everything is rat.
And on both sides of what would have been the western interior seaway throughout the Cretaceous, a massive body of water that cut right through the continent. To tell you more about it, I decided to bring on my friend Callie, who you might know from PBS Eons. She's a paleontologist who just so happens to have been on a lot of digs in what would have been the western interior seaway. So she's kind of a western interior seaway expert. Also, she's my go-to paleontologist. And I actually just got to hang out with her for the first time in person a couple weeks ago when I was up.
We only have a rock guy.
Right. But he is a very good rock guy.
I mean, sure.
He's great with rocks.
You know, as rock guys go. He goes hard. The rock guy.
Up in Montana, and she was showing me around Missoula, and we went to some breweries and got some food, and it was awesome. She's awesome. She's the best. So I'm gonna hand it over to her now to teach you everything you need to know about the Western Interior Seaway. Callie, take it away.
Thanks, Lindsay. All right. The Western Interior Seaway was a body of water that connected the Arctic Ocean with the Gulf of Mexico.
I've never seen this before in my life. What am I looking at?
Okay, so the Arctic...
Find me first. Give me the you are here. Find Texas. Left and up.
We're like here somewhere.
That's got to be us.
Or maybe here somewhere?
Sure.
Maybe up here. No, not up here. Maybe we're more over here. I think we're over here.
Got it.
Maybe like there.
Uh-huh. And that's all the way up to the Arctic Ocean.
Yeah. Yeah. Like right here, I think.
I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it now. This is so confusing. All right, Alpha, go.
The Western Interior Seaway was a body of water that connected the Arctic Ocean with the Gulf of Mexico. It split North America into two island continents, Laramidia and Appalachia. But how did this happen?
Appalachia.
To answer this, we gotta go back to 180-ish million years ago when the oceanic Farallon plate began sliding under the western edge of the continental North American plate.
Okay.
As the plates scraped together, they kicked off a mountain-building event that created the modern Rocky Mountains. However, the subducting plate did something weird. Instead of diving down into the earth at a steep angle, the oceanic plate kinda stuck to the bottom of the continental plate and pulled down on the middle of North America. Plus, starting in the mid-Cretaceous, atmospheric greenhouse gases increased, raising average global temperatures and sea levels. Sound familiar? All this allowed water to slowly flow in, and around 95 million years ago, the Western Interior Seaway had fully formed. Roughly 5 million years later, the seaway reached its maximum size. It had an estimated length of 3,000 miles from north to south, a width of 1,000 miles from east to west, and was probably 650 feet deep. So why don't I have beachfront property in Montana today? Well, the uplift of the Rockies continued, and eventually the oceanic plate broke loose, causing the continental plate to rebound, totally draining the Western Interior Seaway by the end of the Cretaceous 66 million years ago. But during its heyday, this warm, shallow seaway was teeming with life. So far, over 100 species have been described, including dinosaurs. That's right, the fragmentary remains of hadrosaurs and ankylosaurs, like Sylvosaurus, have been found in these marine deposits. But how? Well, these dinosaurs would have lived on land, along the coast of the seaway. And if they happened to die near the water, their bloated bodies could be picked up and floated out to sea. Once the gas bubble burst, the dinosaurs...
That was kind of dark.
She's not even done. There's more to it.
That was a little bit much, don't you think?
We've killed the dinosaur. We floated out to sea. We've swelled it up with water. Now we're blowing it up to sink it into the depths of the ocean.
The dinosaur carcass would sink to the sea floor, usually being scavenged on the way down. This process is lovingly referred to as float and float. Now, there were other dinosaurs of the avian variety. Many of them could fly, but there were also several species of flightless birds, including Hesperornis. Hesperornis was fairly large, approaching 5 feet in length, and it had teeth in the beak, bones that were solid, not hollow, useless tiny wings, but powerful legs and webbed feet for efficient swimming. In fact, it was so specialized for swimming that it probably sucked at walking and was basically fully aquatic, only going on land to lay eggs. But we also find fossils from another group that probably didn't spend a ton of time walking. Pterosaurs. These flying reptiles soared over the western interior seaway, and one of the most commonly found is Pteranodon. This is the toothless one with the extremely long skull that has the crest and a wingspan of up to 18 feet. A version of it was in JP3. If you know, you know. It's been suggested that Pteranodon was sexually dimorphic.
They stabbed that person in the stomach.
Amen.
That is, having skeletal differences between male and female, although not everyone agrees. There seems to be one type with a long skull crest, large body size, and narrow hips, and another with a short crest, smaller body, and wide hips, assumed to be the egg-laying female. Okay, so now that we've covered some of the life living next to, on top of, and over the western interior seaway, let's talk about a few of my favorite animals that actually lived under the sea. Under the sea. Under the sea.
That's
Little Mermaid. Woo. Various types of bivalves occupied the sea floor, including clams. Some of the inoceramid clams were truly gigantic, having a length of nearly 10 feet. And just like modern clams, these giants made pearls, big ones. The largest pearl known is 4.3 inches long and 2.5 inches in diameter. That's a little bigger than a credit card, only, round. These giant clams were also death traps. At least 9 species of small fish have been found inside the clam shells. And it wasn't just 1 or 2 fish, there were many. A single clam was discovered with 104 fish inside.
Oh, so
it's
they
thought
out
that
there
the fish
grubbing.
used the clams for shelter, possibly to hide from predators.
Right.
When the clam died, the shells would snap shut, trapping any unlucky fish.
They were eating them.
We assume they were eating
them.
That's
even worse.
It's just like an earthquake and the house falls in.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Wow.
Terrible way to go. What's more is the fish are usually found crowded together in the most domed part of the shell.
Yeah.
Because that's probably where the last of the oxygen
is.
Brutal. Another mass death assemblage is found among the crinoids, or sea lilies.
Oh, so we're going in.
Starfish and sea urchins. Uinta was a strange crinoid. Instead of being attached to the sea floor, it floated near the surface like an alien hot air balloon. And we think they lived in groups, because often a bunch of them were preserved together.
That's what the shit looks like in the Matrix.
Yeah.
It's like a mech version of this.
That's literally exactly what it looks like.
I think in Doom there's like a flying brain like that too. Wow, that's brutal.
Like this 6 by 4 foot slab that has more than 100 individuals.
Jesus.
So they must have died at the same time. Can you imagine a swarm of Uinta, each with 10 arms that were 3 feet long, acting like some kind of armored jellyfish from a Lovecraft novel?
No.
No, thank you. No, thank you. No.
Excuse
just
me, his name is Love Racist.
Out there just saying the N-word together, calling me colored with Joey Swole. Big old racist brains. Yeah, I can see it. I can imagine that. And they only killed the indigenous.
Jesus.
That the biggest, baddest predator of the Western Interior Seaway would have also avoided blooms of Uinta-crinus. This would be none other than the mosasaur Tylosaurus. One of the largest specimens, nicknamed Bunker, has an estimated body length of at least 40 feet.
That
and had a skull
huge.
that was 5.6 feet long.
God,
that's how tall I am. Can you imagine an animal with a skull as long as I am tall? Incredible.
That's how big whales are.
Its scales looked like. Skin impressions show that Tylosaurus had small diamond-shaped scales with a ridge down the middle, similar to a rattlesnake. As the Seaway's apex predator, this beast could eat basically whatever it wanted. In the preserved gut contents, paleontologists have found fish, sharks, turtles, Hesperornis, plesiosaurs, and other mosasaurs.
Damn.
Oh,
So
yeah.
These things were like cannibals too. The only things definitely too big to eat were the giant sea turtles. But Lindsay will tell you more about those.
Another animal that lived in the Western Interior Seaway was Archelon, the biggest turtle to ever exist. That we know of. They were 16 and a half feet long. So about the size of a 2011 Dodge Durango, a car I used to have. Sound system was solid. But then it turned out to be a lemon. And Archelon was a very massive lemon. They had hooked beaks, probably a very strong bite to feed on ammonites and squids, other mollusks of that variety. Now what's going on with the plesiosaurs? Last time we left off at introducing you to pliosaurs. Plesiosaurs that emerged from the Jurassic that had short necks and big heads. They continued doing their thing, being apex predators of the seas and getting over 30 feet long, like Brontosaurus, that got to 35 to 40 feet long. They had massive jaws and teeth that could each get to a foot long. This godforsaken mouth could rip apart anything it wanted in the ocean, like fish, ammonites, even other marine reptiles of the time, like Elasmosaurids. Some of the long-necked plesiosaurs that were found in oceans all over the world, and some of them had long necks, like Albertonectes. They were 39 feet long with a neck that took up 23 feet.
Albertonectes nuts.
Like Albertonectes. They were 39 feet long with a neck that took up 23 feet of that length. When you see them all sprawled out, it is just ridiculous. Here they are compared to an average-sized family. In case you needed that visual tool. And their necks were made up of 76 vertebrae, making it the largest neck of any elasmosaur that we know of. And not surprising at all. Other elasmosaurs didn't have such elongated necks, like Aristonectes. A much more respectable neck, if you ask me. They had fewer and shorter neck vertebrae, much more sturdy, less susceptible to decapitation. I don't know how evolution allowed Albertonectes to even get there in the first place, but shit happens. Now let's move on to the ichthyosaurs. What's going on with the OG dolphins? Honestly, not great things. Compared to previous periods, their diversification slowed down a lot, and eventually they went extinct about 100 million years ago. Have you noticed a lot of things happened around 100 million years ago? That's the split between the early and late Cretaceous, just so you know. But I don't do shit in that order, because I don't like it. But it's interesting, because they went extinct way before the asteroid even thought about hitting the planet. This happens. Groups go extinct sometimes. Not because of a mass extinction event or a catastrophe, but because they can't keep up with competitors, can't adapt fast enough. They just slowly die over time. And a lot of those changes happened 100 million years ago, which is why the split between the early and late Cretaceous exists there. And it's nice. It's a nice number. 100. I like it a lot. Anyway, the Cretaceous seas were no fucking joke. Obviously, we had some crocodilians on the shores, pliosaurs with big appetites, and we also had the appearance of another group that quickly rose to domination, the mosasaurs. You are definitely familiar with them from Jurassic World. Obviously, another animal that was not Jurassic. And I do want to point out they were a lot bigger in the movie, but in life, they were still massive. The largest got to about 50 feet long. They didn't really show up until the mid-Cretaceous. And the general consensus is they evolved from terrestrial lizards, which is fucking insane. Just popped the fuck off and took over the whole world. Becoming apex predators, some becoming specialized divers like sperm whales. They had different teeth setups, some for catching fish and squid, other for harder shells like ammonites and turtles. And their mouth was ludicrous. They had a second row of teeth on the roof. One species, Xenodens, had weird looking teeth like a saw, likely used to scavenge or cut chunks out of larger prey, because they were little guys, like 3 feet long. There were also freshwater mosasaurs, like Panoniosaurus. They were the first freshwater mosasaur ever found. They got to about 13 feet long and were likely apex predators of the no-salt zone. Unlike marine mosasaurs, Panoniosaurus still had legs, so maybe could have ventured onto land from time to time. And of course, the belle of the ball, star of the show, Mosasaurus, the classic red-blooded all-American heartthrob. Well, European as well. They were top of the food chain.
Really?
Shark in the water, viper in the grass, apex predator, getting up to 56 feet long.
Oh
They
my
ate literally
gosh.
anything they wanted.
They literally just keep getting bigger.
Including
That's
other
insane.
mosasaurs, and potentially ventured into deeper waters for giant squid, with the help of a shark-like tail that propelled them through the ocean. Totally and completely badass. So that was the waters.
That's terrifying. That is so terrifying. All right. We're gonna end this video here. We're gonna finish this video in a part dos.
Yeah.
And a part deux, if you will. Thank you so much for joining me, husband.
Had a great time.
So far, what is your favorite thing that you've learned? The crabs.
Crabs are here.
She spent so little time
We
on
have
crabs for how wonderful they
crabs.
are.
We have crabs and they're itchy. Octopi come from Jurassic period, even though we didn't cover them till this time.
Yes.
And crabs exist. And we have 40-foot alligators that are, yes. Where are they at? Yes, they are.
And mushrooms.
Ooh, we do have shrooms.
Yes.
The first fungi. And they were eating
mushrooms
people.
and lots of flowers. And
what are they called? Angiospores?
yes. And everything is rats.
Everything is rats. So if you're absorbing at least some little tidbits from this, like we are, I think you're going to be okay. There are some things here that are just going to stay with us with the Cretaceous period, and now we're getting stuff that I've like.
Cretaceous.
Crustaceous.
Oh, Lord.
Crabaceous. Crablicious. All my crabs snap.
I'll burn on neck these
All my
nuts.
crabs snap.
I hope you guys enjoyed the video. When you think of crabs, do you think like this or do you think like this?
Yeah.
I think like this.
Crab people.
Right?
No, I
Okay,
do think like this. You're
anyway.
right. Yeah, crab people.
I hope you guys...
everything evolves through crab, but everything is rats.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't forget to leave your reaction, questions, and recommendations down in the comments below. We will have part 2 of this out at a reasonable time.
Eventually.
And
we'll remember to take you to the park as well. And don't tell your mother why you're out late.
Other than that, peace out, Hope Biscuits. It's Skittin' Lit.